Hi guys, my name is Trinity, and if you're here, I am going to unhaul my shelves with you guys. Now, I don't know how many books I am going to end up unhauling, but we are going to walk through each of my shelves. There are two shelves, the two that you always see behind me, that I'm not going to touch because they're favorite shelves. We're not doing anything with those, or most anticipated. So like I said, not touching these two shelves behind me, but we'll touch everything else minus my TBR cart and recent purchases. So let's get to it. Here is the first shelf that we're gonna go through. Let's see what we are gonna unhaul. So these are obviously going to be like my historical fiction. Jean Colligrettis, I'm gonna keep. Michelle Moran, I'm gonna keep. Kate Quinn, I'm gonna keep. Anne Bishop, I'm gonna keep. These here are books that are gonna probably be part of this unhaul project eventually, because I really loved the actual follow-up books to this. I can't think of the name of them. I think it's Ink and Sigil. Is that it? Maybe. But I do want to read the original series. These are Arthurian, and so I don't really want to get rid of them. A Man Called Uwe, I really loved it. Or Uva, I think it's Uva. Nature of Witches, I loved. Uprooted. Do I hold on to it? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of if I should keep Uprooted, because it was okay, but I mean, I love Spinning Silver, but I don't know how I feel about Uprooted. Paula Braxton, I'm gonna keep. These are new. Bright Empires, I am gonna keep. The Devil's Queen, The Scarlet Contessa by Jean Colligrettis. If I remember correctly, I did not like The Devil's Queen as much as her other works, which she's one of my favorite authors. Okay, now we have two that I have to ask myself if I'm actually really going to read them, and that would be The Invention of Wings and The Book of Longings. I've had both of these for forever and have not read them. Now, I really liked The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd, and whew, these are dusty. Kind of decided I wanted to read her other works, and then I read The Mermaid Chair, and it was okay, but I don't really read this type of historical fiction anymore. I mean, I kind of want to hold on to them and see if I get to them via the Unhaul project. Again, more Michelle Moran. I plan to keep The Lake House. This is one whew, I'm not sure about. I've heard many people say that I will like this. It's a mystery and it's touted as gothic, and I keep telling myself to read it, but then I never get around to it, so we'll see. Burial Rites is one of my favorite books of all time. Again, Paula Braxton. Barbara Kingsolver is one of my favorite authors. Here's one I kind of need your guys' opinion on. Stone in the Skull, Red Stained Wings by Elizabeth Bear. I don't know anything about this, but Elizabeth Bear is an author I really wanted to try and just haven't got around to doing it. Nora Roberts, I actually really like Nora Roberts. Some of her stuff, I definitely like her fantasy, so I've held on to all of her fantasy books that I have. And then down here, let's see if I can tilt you guys just a bit. We'll see if we can get these other two shelves in view. There we go. So here's another one. I think I might go ahead and get rid of this. How are you, Dusty? You're not that old. Okay. The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. Now, I bought this for a specific readathon and then never read it. I am intrigued because the main character is dyslexic. However, I am going to have to do the audio because of how this is written. It's written like a dyslexic person wrote it. And I do like that there are kind of like weird things in the book. I honestly don't know how I'm going to feel about it. Like, you know, I mean, I can't determine. And I never had any interest in reading it until I had to buy it for my Pop Sugar Challenge. So this one will probably go. This is a recent purchase. Poison is one I would really like to get to in the near future, but I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet. Ring Shout, Earthlings, Crossroads. These are all fairly new. Then, of course, Harry Potter I won't be getting rid of. And then I have some leather-bound editions of Doctor Who, Sherlock Holmes, Lamorte Arthur, Walden, Guy Gavriel Kay. He is going to be coming up soon in another video. We'll get to talking about that. Midnight Library I absolutely loved. I love Giles Christian, so he's staying. Mary Stewart is another Arthurian tale that I would like to tackle. And then the rest of these, I have Powder Mage, which you guys know is a series I plan to read this year. Magic for Liars is a new purchase. We Cry for Blood. I need to get the rest of Devin Madsen's books. I read the first one and then never continued, so I'm going to have to reread that first one again, but I do want to tackle that series. And then The Emperor's Blades, which I have had a false start with last year. So out of this whole shelf, we are getting rid of one. Okay, so the shelf is in my living room, and so we are going to go through these, but I'm wondering if I'm going to come across any that are actually going to be removed from these shelves, but Laurel K. Hamilton is all along the top. I love Laurel K. Hamilton. I'm keeping those. I have kind of broken up with Anita Blake recently, but they are still very nostalgic for me, and I still would go back and read all of them to what I currently own. Kelly Armstrong is a favorite for me, so I will be holding on to those. Charlene Harris as well. Now, Vultures is a recent purchase for me, so I don't plan on getting rid of those. Never Saw Me Coming as well. Darien by Con Eagledon, I don't plan to get rid of. I plan to read. Solari. Now, this one might be coming up in another video of things I'm going to do in reference to Unhauls, but this one, we might have it in another video. Spellbreaker is actually a second in a series, and I need to get the first. Half Drowned King, the Sea Witch, or the Sea Queen. I need to get on those. And then these are the Arthurian books from Bernard Cornwell, so I do plan to read those. Now, moving down a bit. Okay, so Kim Harrison, obviously another love of mine. If you can't tell, I used to read a lot of urban fantasy, so that's kind of where all of these are coming into play. House of Night, these are set in my hometown, so I really don't plan on getting rid of those. East of Eden. Now, this might be one that I actually get rid of. I have read it, and I own a really great copy of it, but I don't think I'm going to read it again. Like I said, it's a beautiful copy, but I cannot see myself reading this again. Canterbury Tales just happens to be one of my favorite classics. The Chosen Sin. I think someone recommended this to me, and it is smutty, but I just haven't picked it up yet. I don't know when I will, but I love smutty vampires, so I probably will eventually pick this one up. Valkyrie. I can probably get rid of this. I read this for Norse-Vember, and it was actually like a historical book on Vikings and women of the Viking world. I enjoyed it, but I don't see myself ever reading it again. Obviously, Complete Works of Shakespeare. I read it. I love it. The Help is one of my favorite books, so not getting rid of that one. Now, down here, I have A Flicker in the Dark, which I do still plan to read. Simon R. Green. I've heard I will really like Simon R. Green, but I have never read anything by him, so I'm going to hold on to that. Another Con Eagledon there. This one is 420 Blackbirds by Sherry Priest, and I wanted to reread it, and I got this one at the Buy Sell Trade, so it's a little rough, but I don't know. I think I might still read it. It's Southern Gothic. We'll see. We'll see. Lee Bardugo. Love Lee Bardugo. Those aren't going anywhere. Thistlefoot's recent purchase. Ray Bear and Redemptor recent purchase. Together We Burn. I love this book, so I don't see myself getting rid of that. These here are all three of these are Outcrate books that I have yet to read, but I do want to read them before I get rid of them because I paid a pretty decent penny for them. Ghostwood Song, I love. The Ones We're Meant to Find, I love. Grave Mercy, it's one of those books that I want to read because it's supposed to have an epic enemies to lovers trope in it, so I do want to eventually tackle that. Sweet and Bitter Magic, I enjoyed. A Lesson in Vengeance, I really loved. Sisters of the Snake, I could probably go ahead and get rid of this one because I don't plan to continue the series. This is very much like an Aladdin type tale. And while I enjoyed it, I'm not eager to pick up the next one. I thought it was a fun story. It is a little damaged though, so I will have to discount it a little bit. Lake's Edge, Violet Made of Thorns. Those are two outright books that I still need to read. Furthermore and Witchwood by Tara Maffey. Now, I own these because I love the covers. Still haven't read them yet, but I've also heard it's a fairly cute book series, and so I want to read it and see what I think about it because, like I said, the covers are awesome, and so I'd hate to get rid of them having not read them. Okay, and the final shelf down here, let's see. Jurassic World, I do eventually want to read. The Unquiet Dead is in my jar of books that I need to read. And Bishops, those are follow-ups to the Others series that I've read and loved by her, so I do plan to read those when I get around to it. Sarah Pierce, The Sanatorium, I really enjoyed, so I bought the second book, The Retreat. We Begin at the End, I still want to read. Let's see. Oh, Starving Ghosts in Every Thread, I really enjoyed that one. The Magicians, I still plan to read. I just don't know how long it's actually going to take me to do so. The Wind Up Girl, I still want to read. 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, I really loved. And then these are Rivers of London, but it's like books 3, 4, and 5, so I need to get my hands on the rest. The Marauders, I plan to read. Relics, Folded Land, and Winter's Promise, I definitely still plan to read. These are kind of collections of like books. I have Saga down here, Monstrous, my Dating the Undead. It's kind of like a magazine, but a fun magazine created by authors who write vampire novels, so I thought it was really cool. And then just some random like stuff with like J.K. Rowling, the Quidditch books and stuff like that. So there are 3 from this shelf that I will be getting rid of. Okay, so my tripod is at a very weird angle to get this shot. And it's making me have like a double chin really badly right now. So ignore it for now. Tad Williams, Otherland. If you can see, I have quite a bit of Tad Williams that I haven't read yet because I'm scared, and that's going to come up in another video here in a couple days because yeah, we'll talk about that later. Now, I do have this series here by Sarah Douglas called The Wayfarer Redemption. I really want to get into Sarah Douglas. I've heard that I would actually really love her. I have yet to tackle these. Wayfarer's Redemption and Hades' Daughter are in the jar. Same for Jennifer Fallon here. Resistance Reborn. Now, I could get rid of this one. I have a hard time getting rid of a Star Wars book, though. But we'll hold on to that one. I've read it. I liked it. It was fine. But it's Star Wars. So, okay. Stephen R. Lawhead. Now, these 2 series here, which I guess technically 3, 4 series here. I have the first book of 2 series, and then I have the whole of another 2. I have not read these. I really loved Hood by Stephen R. Lawhead. It's one of my favorite series of all time. It's kind of been bumped down the list. It's historical fantasy, and you know, I have not read these yet because I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous because I love Hood so much that I want to love everything Lawhead writes. And so these 4, technically, I have not tackled yet, but I want to. Okay, next we have Dragon Champion. So these are called the Age of Fire. Can you guys see these? Yes. Okay. They're called Age of Fire, E.E. Knight. And then I have the Dragoneer Academy by E.E. Knight. I do want to give E.E. Knight a try, see if I actually like them, because I don't know if it's male or female author. David Douglas, you guys know I have an issue with buying David Douglas books and not reading them, so there they are. Do plan to, though. Definitely plan to read Luke Arnold, Left Hand of God by Paul Hoffman. I plan to read. This is the second book in a series. I plan to read Velocity of Revolution. So these I plan to read. These were books I picked up at the buy-sell trade just randomly, and I thought they sounded really good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, those 5 there. I do hope to get to them at some point. Kate Elliott. I need to read more Kate Elliott. I've owned this trilogy for forever, the Spirit Walker trilogy. I haven't read it yet. I think I started Cold Magic a while ago, and then for some reason the mood wasn't suiting. I do know that these are steampunk. I do know that they have pretty good characterization for what I've read of Cold Magic. I can't even tell you what it was that made me put it down because it's been so long since I've read it. But I do have Shadow Gate, Spirit Gate, Black Wolves by her that I need to read. These are a recent purchase from the buy-sell trade. All these 4 actually. Eyes of Crow, Voice of Crow, Magic of Wind and Mist, Magic of Blood and Sea. These are bind-ups, and I think it's a YA series. This, like, two duologies that go hand in hand. Have not read them yet. Let's angle you down a bit here so we can get to the next couple of shelves. Okay, this is a series I want to read by Trudy Canavan that I haven't gotten around to yet. Midnight's Daughter I enjoyed, have not continued with that series. Way of the Wolf, another E. Knight that I want to read. PC Cast, I love this particular series. This is the Goddess series. It is spicy. It is not as spicy as some of the romance that I read now, but I do really enjoy this series, so I want to hold on to it. These are new. My sister bought them for me. Beyond Redemption is one that I plan to read at some point, and I just never get around to it. These two are short story collections by Holly Phillips, and I want to get to those soon. Wicked as They Come, Delilah S. Dawson, is a romance that I want to read. This, The Prophecy Con, this is the second book in a series that I do plan to read still. And it's written by Patrick Weeks. If you guys know who Patrick Weeks is, or don't know who Patrick Weeks is, he is the writer of Dragon Age. This is a series that I want to continue. I've read the first book, The Tethered Mage. I need to read the second and third. Practical Magic is one of my favorite stories of all time. And then I have the Nightmareland books, and I need to read the third one in this series. Ink and Sigil, yes, that was the follow-up to the Kevin Hearn books that I was talking about. Fear and Fury, I need to get the rest of these. These are so fun, by Jamie Jackson. The main character is magic wielding, but doesn't want to use her magical power. She wants to be left alone. And this is written in a very like Deadpool style way. Loved it. So I don't like this series. Why am I not getting rid of it? This is why. I met Kelly Armstrong, who is one of my favorite authors. You saw that I have a whole shelf of her books at a writer's conference, and we talked, and I said how much her books have inspired me to write. And so it says, Trinity, keep writing. And so I never got rid of those. And all the best. I actually haven't picked up this one, but I did read this one, and I'm not a fan. It's the whole detective novel thing. I've kind of grown out of it. I don't really like it. John Keats, of course, I'm not getting rid of that. And then I have a Simply Shakespeare Hamlet. This was something I had to buy for school and then just never got rid of it, but I kind of enjoy having it. So I'm just going to hold on to it. Okay, down at the end, I have the Hellfire Club, which I really want to read, but I'm nervous too, because, you know, Straub, King, they're not really my style. Straub more so than King, and so I've held on to that for a long time, if you can't tell, and I just need to read it. The Child Thief by Brom. I really love Brom. I want to reread The Child Thief at some point, maybe this year. Jean Colligridis, I said she's one of my favorite authors. This is her vampire series down here, and I adore it. Anno Dracula is another one that was recommended to me by Anthony Ryan, so I do want to read that. This one my son bought for me. He thought it sounded really cool. And The Dark Bride, it sounds like it's going to be really dark. And so I haven't really like let myself pick it up yet because I'm not in the mood for dark stuff right now. So there's some things that have kind of gone to the wayside while I get myself back into the mindset of wanting to read dark things. Same could be said for R. Scott Baker. And then I have a couple of mysteries here with The Turn of the Key and A Stranger in the House. Head Full of Ghosts, I really want to read. I've actually talked about this book so much that other people have read it, and I still have not done so yet. In a Dark, Dark Wood is in the jar. I think this is in the jar as well. This one might be in the jar. The Guest List by Lucy Foley, that is in the jar. Hex Life is a collection of short stories about witches, so I'm very excited for that. Mr. Shivers is in the jar. Paybacks of Witches in the jar. Those Across the River is in the jar. The Beauty is in the jar. This is a series that I have absolutely loved, just haven't continued yet. Strange Practice I read a while ago, and then Dreadful Company and Grave Importance I still need to read. Hollow Places, I love this book. So good. If you're going to read a T. Kingfisher, this is the one I recommend. The Troop is gross, but I love it. And I have The Deep in the other room. You guys probably saw that. An Unwanted Guest by Sherry Lapina. I still need to read that. Hunting Party I need to read. These are all in the jar. Best Friend's Exorcism. I loved Grady Hendrix. I love. So this one was absolutely fantastic. Neon Gods, A Memory Called Empire, Trouble the Saints are all in the jar. These are my little classics that I have. And so I'm not going to get rid of these. King Lear. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I have a King Lear poster hanging in my hallway. Get that weird angle going again. Okay, so in this shelf, again, we're going to have a lot of like randomness because this is kind of where everything gets thrown when I can't find a place for it. Exit to Eden. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. I do want to read it, but here's the thing. I've read it before. I just don't remember it. And Anne Rice just isn't my favorite author. She's writing as Anne Rampling. If you guys don't know, Anne Rampling is her erotica pseudonym. And I don't know when I'll get to this. If I do, I know there's an audiobook available, so I'll go ahead and get rid of it. Okay, now this series here, The Age of Steam, is a steampunk Western series, and I really want to read it. I've put it on lists before and then just haven't got around to it, but I do think it sounds really good. Deal with the Devil, I think sounds really good. Gates of Hell, I read the first book in this series, which is The Shards of Heaven here. I need to buy these two books. I read this as an arc. So if that tells you, let's see, Gates of Heaven released in what year? So this released in 2016, and I read Shards of Heaven as an arc, if that tells you anything. Kingmaker, Kingbreaker remains high on my list. This is one that I found in the buy-sell trade that still has the tabbies from whoever read it first, and it has a letter written to the person who actually this was for. And so I've kept it, like, I haven't read it yet, but I've kept all the tabbies and everything in it just so I can follow along with what they said. Again, Karen Miller, she's high on my list. I need to get around to reading it. I might actually, you know, whenever we start doing more for the Unhaul project in different terms, pick up this one just so I can say whether or not I like Karen Miller. Mageborn. Now this was an impulse buy because this is the first in a secondary series by Stephen Arion, and I need to get the first series, which would be Battle Mage, Blood Mage, and Chaos Mage. So Age of Darkness. This is Age of Dread. Strange and Stubborn Endurance is one of my favorite books. Truth and Other Lies by Lyra Wolf. I loved. Again, we have more Trudy Canavan. Tear Down the Throne. That's another series for my, I really want to find fantasy with a great romance plot. Fledgling, I've just bought. Neither just bought. Poison Study, I've heard I need to read. And if you look down there, I think Magic Study, I don't know how these got separated from each other. So let's fix that real quick. Okay. Tooth and Claw is one I still want to read. Trail of Lightning and Storm of Locusts I want to read. It's an urban fantasy by Rebecca Roanhorse. Santa Olivia I still want to read. All of those I still want to read. So nothing to be unhauled from there. Now, we have The Girl with All the Gifts. I still want to read that one. Okay, The Invisible Library. I've had this for forever. It's on so many people's shelves. I just don't think I'm interested anymore. I really don't. So this I'm going to unhaul. And then we have my beautiful Graceling books. Look at these. These are the UK covers of Graceling, the updated covers. And I do still need to get the newest one, but yeah, those aren't going anywhere. Sorcery of Thorns and Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, not going anywhere. Now, I have not read Three Dark Crowns. I do still want to. I need to get the third book in Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. This was a recent purchase for me for Christmas on Andrew Wizardly Reads. He did a gift exchange, and this was one purchase for me. I still need to read Blade Breaker. I love The Diabolic. I really need to get the other books in this series, but they are hard to find. Rotten Ruin. This is a series I'm holding on to so I can pass on to my son. Within These Wicked Walls, I want to keep. Okay, Where Dreams Descend. I might get rid of this one because I've heard the follow-up book is not good. I have heard that this one is, but I have been burned on duologies where the second book just peters out and ruins the first book for me. So I think I might just go ahead and get rid of this one. The Frozen Crown, I still plan to read. Guys, help me decide. Do I keep it? I've not liked Kirsten White's writing in the past. I will pull it for now. Let me know. Do I keep this one or do I give it a shot? The most adorable book you will ever read in your life is right here. Okay, and then I have a couple of young adult mysteries here, The Project and The Cousins, that I've heard very good things about. I know one of my favorite booktubers, Meg with Books, her favorite author is Courtney Summers. So, and I know Courtney Summers does really odd things with her stories, and so I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. I will get the audio for this because she does mixed media, so let me know. What do you guys think about these two? The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner. I might unhaul this one. Now, this is a buy-sell trade copy, so again, rough. But from what I've heard, this is very much a slow-paced novel. And I'm not going to like it. It's an adventuring novel, and I'm not going to like it. So I might just get rid of this one. Yeah, we're going to unhaul it. And then My Lady Jane, we'll keep that one. Okay, this last shelf is kind of tucked down in a corner, so it's hard to see the books that are down here. Up here, out of sight, I have Malice and Of Blood and Bone, the Soul Keeper trilogy by David Dalglish, Mistborn, which you might be able to see if I take that down. Well, Mistborn, Sarah Beth Durst. The Song of All, I do still want to read. I've had a problem reading straight physical books lately, so I still want to read this. And the writing is pretty big, so it shouldn't take me too long to get through it. I just have to get to where I can read physical books alone again. Among Thieves, you can't really see it, but it is one I'm going to keep because I love it. And I'm so excited for the next one. And then the other one that you can't see is Gail Z. Martin's The Ascendant Kingdom Saga. There are 4 of this, and I own all 4. I've heard I'm really going to love Gail Z. Martin, so I am holding on to this. So here is a whole series that I might unhaul if you guys tell me I should. Every Heart a Doorway, didn't really think it was all that great. But I've heard once you find your book in this series, once you find the one that speaks to you, you will absolutely love it. And I have Down Among the Sticks and Bones and Beneath the Sugar Sky to read still. So I don't know what to do with these. Give me guys' opinion on these, and I'll decide based on what you guys say if you think that I will like them. This is Hob, so not going anywhere. And then this is Tales of the Atori, so not going anywhere either. And then, I don't know if you guys can see these, but it is my Daevabad books, so they're not going anywhere. Okay, this bottom shelf here is the ones that could probably be taken apart and gone through. However, I'm not seeing anything, maybe one of them. So I got this because it's Christopher Golden and Tim Levin, and I really enjoy both of these authors. Christopher Golden writes like horror mysteries, and Tim Levin writes like horror sci-fi, and this is kind of horror fantasy, and so I want to read it. No, I'm going to keep this one. Now, the other that is on the chopping block is I have Gilded Cage by Vic James and Tarnished City by Vic James. But this is a reimagining of our world and has like dangerous politics, like political maneuvering and magic that's gone wild. But it's a reimagining of our world. So I don't know how I feel about it. I might still try it, guys. I might still try it. I've kept it this long and it's not going anywhere. So these two are novellas based off of the world of the Goblin Emperor, but I've heard I will really like these, so I'm holding on to these. Even if I read the Goblin Emperor and don't like it, I'm going to go ahead and give these a shot. One that I'm not really interested in reading is Poster Girl by Veronica Roth, but this is the Fairy Loot edition, and I have said that I will read all of the Fairy Loots that come to me eventually, because I paid quite a bit of money for them, and I am a little bummed that this was $34, because it's almost novella length, but you know, it is what it is. And then I have Empires of Exiles, Art of Prophecy, A Hero Born. Oh, you know what? I might go ahead and get rid of this one. When I purchased it initially, I thought it sounded really cool, but the more time goes on, the less I'm interested in it. And it's Lucifer and God fighting. So like, I don't know. Now I think this one's going to go. Okay, so we have Unhauled. How many did we unhaul? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, that's a good solid number. I like it. If I was to have set a goal at the beginning of this, it would have been 10 to 15. So I'm pretty happy with this number. Let's talk about the books I am unhauling. The Thief by Megan Wayland Turner. Like I said, so all of these books will be books I have not read. And the reason I'm getting rid of books that I have not read is because shelf space. We are having the Ultimate Unhaul project right now. That's what we're tackling. But The Thief by Megan Wayland Turner, I had heard that I would like it, but the more people talk about it, the more I realize it's an adventure story with a bunch of journeying, and you know, that is not my cup of tea. And so I think it's fair to let this one go. All right, I've decided. I'll get rid of it. The Guinevere Deception. Now, the only reason I want to read this book is because it is Arthurian based. Now, I've heard many, many times that I'm not going to like this because she twists the Arthurian tale a little too much. She tweaks it too much for me to enjoy it because I am a Arthurian purist and this will drive me insane. So, oh, speaking of, I have another one to unhaul. Let me grab it. Now this one bums me out because I was very excited for Trans Achilles. I was looking forward to delving into a book that had really great trans representation and that was said to be beautifully written. I am also a Greek gods purist as well. And there are so many things that Maya has tackled in ways that will drive me absolutely insane. So I'm going to have to unhaul this one because if I read this, my whole view will be colored by the fact that they decided to mess with the pantheon. Like, it'll drive me insane and I won't be able to enjoy this book. So I'm sad. I'm very, very sad. Okay, and Where Dreams Descend. I will be getting rid of this one because I've heard the second book, it just doesn't hold up to the first, and I'm not interested in tackling another series like that. I've been burned one too many times, and while I do think that I will enjoy this one, I'm not interested in the follow-up, so we're going to get rid of this one. A series I've just lost interest in, The Invisible Library. I have never reached for this. It's never called to me. I only bought it because I saw it on everybody else's shelves. That never really works out for me anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and unhaul this one. Exit to Eden. Again, lost interest. It's Anne Rice. I don't care about it. The Book of Joby. Again, I lost interest. It was one that I thought sounded really cool in the beginning, but just not interested in trying to tackle this one anymore. Sisters of the Snake. I really, like I said, I enjoyed it. It's very much an Aladdin type story, and I just have no interest in pursuing further books in this series, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. Valkyrie is a nonfiction about the women of the Viking world, and I loved this. I just don't see myself rereading it. It's not a book I'm going to hold on to, and I don't really tackle nonfiction very often. I did this for Norse November. I'm not going to reread it, so why hold on to it? Exit to Eden by John Steinbeck. This is one of those books that you own because you're supposed to, and I just don't care. The Knife of Never Letting Go. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one as well. I have lost interest, I guess, is what you can say as to why I am unhauling this one. Never had interest in the first place. Bought it for a Pop Sugar challenge to fit a prompt. So that's why I'm letting go of this one. All right. These will all be available on my Pango bookshop if you are interested in any of them. But that is it for me today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!